Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Masters of the Universe Revelation Stinkor action figure, part of the Masterverse series. And as you're going to see, I've already opened this guy from the box, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on the packaging. I do want to quickly give a shout out to my buddy Eamon O'Donoghue for absolutely nailing the artwork that we see on the window boxes for Masterverse. I had a whole bunch of these on the backlog, and I ended up just opening them all up to check them out, and now I'm going to do videos on them. So, hey, packaging is missing, but let's go ahead and dive right in and take a look at the figure here. So these figures are in the 7-inch scale. If we can get Stinkor standing straight up here with my tape measure, you can see that his pointy ears basically put him right there at 7 inches tall. And these guys are a bit chunky, though I will say that Masterverse in general is a bit skinnier and lankier when compared to other Masters of the Universe toy lines. Most comparable at this scale, of course, would be Masters of the Universe Classics. Those definitely feel a lot chunkier than the Masterverse line. You'll see more of that as we get later into the video when we do some comparisons. So this version of Stinkor is based on his brief appearance in the Revelation series, so he's modeled after that, which does give him a bit more of an animated look, though he does capture what makes Stinkor Stinkor. He's got the orange armor that is absolutely inspired by the Mechanic armor. This does have a lot of that inspiration taken from the 2000X series for Stinkor there, which I do really appreciate. So rather than just being Merman's head, this is much more of a skunk-like creature, I guess, or a different furry mammal seen on Eternia that happens to be a lot like a skunk. That's basically what we've got going on here. So he does have a furry body sculpt, which I think is pretty nice. You can actually see that continued underneath the armor. The armor is removable if you want to take it off there. It is a bit of a pliable, flexible armor. You can pull that up. You can see there actually is a furry torso sculpt underneath there. So it doesn't just reuse like the same torso that we saw on He-Man in the previous waves. This one does have that nice furry sculpt. You can see the white line painted work there where they've kind of, it's kind of got like that fur look to it, kind of coming down the side. For the most part, it's pretty clean. There's a little bit of sloppiness in the paint on the arms there, but overall, it is not too bad looking. I do really like the face on this guy. I love how it still sort of retains some of those merman-esque qualities with the shape of the eyes and the mouth there. But one of the things that's pretty cool is that Stinkor does come with an interchangeable head. So if we want to, we can just pop that head off the ball joint there. We can take the new head and pop it on in its place. I will say it's a bit hard to get that second head on that ball joint for some reason. It doesn't really pop on the way you would like it to. But this head is slightly different. So you can see he's got like squinted eyes and he's wearing the blue gas mask, which is pretty cool. We saw that in the Classics line as well. You can also remove that. There is a hole in the middle of his mouth because there's a little peg to plug this on, but you can remove it if you want to. This is a fun face sculpt because with the squinty eyes and the open mouth, it's almost like he's spraying his gas, and of course his gas and his odor is so strong it bothers him as well, which is why he's got the little gas mask there. So I like that we've got the two different portraits so that you can choose which version you like. I think I prefer the more classic looking one, but again, always appreciate having two different heads. We do also have swappable hands there. So you can see right now I've got him with a closed fist and an open hand for a shield. It is a big, giant hand. That's one thing, I pointed that out with the first couple figures there too, He-Man and Skeletor. For some reason, they got these big, flat open hands that are really disproportionate and they look kind of strange. But if you don't like those, you can swap it out for some gripping hands. Very easy to do. You can just pull the hands out of socket. You can plug the new one in its place. Although, Stinkor doesn't really come with any weapons that he can grip onto. The only weapon he has, of course, is his blue shield, which comes straight from the vintage toy. You can see it is modeled much like that old one there. It is done in a blue plastic, it looks like. So this can be placed right over his hand, and then that flat open hand slides right through that strap on the front. So it's actually a pretty decent grip there. It's not too loose. It holds onto the figure pretty well, and that way we can arm our Stinkor up with a shield. Another thing I really like is that they added the little blue tanks on his back. That is something else that's inspired by the design from the 2000X series. These are not removable. In fact, there's quite a bit of sloppy blue paint up here. You can see it's really bleeding over on the orange. But still, it's a nice little touch, nice little extra piece to add to the back of the figure there. So, articulation on these guys. Let's go over this. That head's on the ball joint as I showed you. Minimal movement still though. I mean, you can slightly move it up and down. Mostly you're just going to get the kind of left and right turning motion there because of that furry sculpt. It is going to hinder it just a bit. But you do got those ball-like joints at the shoulders. Arms can go outwards, forwards, backwards. Swivel at the bicep. You do have double joints at the elbow on these guys. You've got the swivel at the wrist and the hinge at the wrist. You've got a torso joint, like a ball joint there at the torso, so it can roll all the way around, but you can also swivel at the waist cut there. The legs have those ball joints, so they can go outwards, forwards, backwards, swivel at the thigh. You do have double joints at the knees, very, very tight on the top portion. It is really, really hard to get that bend in there, so you might have to actually even work that out. You got the swivel at the boot cut, and then the ankles can rock side to side, as well as move forwards and backwards with that nice hinge joint there. So articulation's pretty good. What I will say is that it's very loose. It feels that way pretty much all the way through. Like, we got some loose arms there. The bicep swivel is loose. The hands feel very loose, but the worst are the boots. I mean, look at this. You see how floppy this is? It's like the way I can just kind of like, whee, like spin his boot around like that. Yes, very, very loose joints on this figure, which is unfortunate. Now, the good thing is it's not so bad. Like, the ankles and everything seem fine, and the knees I showed you are pretty tight. So he's standing fine, but when I'm handling him, he just doesn't feel like a solid toy. I mean, look, his arm is bobbling around, his ankle or his boot is swiveling around. So I would really like to see Mattel tighten that up. Those are really, really loose joints. All right, guys, it's comparison time. Let's go ahead and show this guy alongside some of the other Stinkor releases from throughout the years, including the vintage Stinkor action figure, the Masters of the Universe Classic Stinkor, and the Origin Stinkor, just so you can see how these figures all measure up together. And there you go, my friends. That is a look at the Masters of the Universe Revelation Stinkor action figure. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. Now, I will say I like the look of this one. Stinkor's a great character. Oh, you know what else I forgot to mention? This figure doesn't stink. I can't believe I didn't say that yet. I'm going to be that guy that's nitpicky, but boy, oh boy, do I feel like some of these characters always need to retain certain action features, and this guy doesn't stink at all. Now, I think they've basically wiped out action features from this line entirely. I mean, Scareglow didn't even glow except for his head, which I complained about that too. So I'm going to be the guy that complains about this figure not stinking. I know you're not all going to agree with me on that, and hey, that's cool. That's totally fine. Otherwise, I do like the look of this guy. I do. I think it's a pretty good translation of the character. I think the articulation is way too loose on this guy, but otherwise, this is definitely one of the figures I like better in the Masterverse line so far. So he's definitely a cool one, and if you're a fan of the character, it's always cool to see another Stinkor. So I believe this particular figure is part of the third wave of Masterverse figures, which is on store shelves right now. I bought mine from BigBadToyStore.com. So happy hunting, my friends, and until next time.